Today I continue my playthrough of this chaotic yet satisfying RPG Minecraft server. If you haven't already, check out my first 7 days, otherwise get your popcorn and let's continue farming to make some money, let's continue exploring the Crystal Hollows, and let's even fall in love with a shiny but porky friend. Welcome to 14 days of Hypixel Skyblock. Day 8 began with me on my garden. First things first, we need to deal with the pests. Well, that I did. With my vacuum, I went and murdered all of the pests on my garden, giving me 2 enchanted cocoa beans, 3 enchanted carrots, 3 enchanted sugar, 3 enchanted melons, 3 enchanted pumpkins, 3 enchanted hay bales, and then finally another 3 enchanted hay bales. After that, I started farming pumpkins. If you remember the end of day 7, I said this about my mushroom farming. I tried to farm some mushrooms, but my method wasn't the best, I'll be honest. I needed some rancher boots really to make it any better, but I couldn't get that at this point in time. Now was that time. But while I'm here, I should actually explain the scale of this farming. For rancher boots, I needed 16 polished pumpkins, which when split up means 2,560 enchanted pumpkins, or 409,600 regular pumpkins. So yeah, I had to break a lot of pumpkins. While I was farming, however, I had a realization. Oh yeah, shit, I need to go to my island because I need to quickly check on my redstone minions because they're all going to be full. Well, I went to my island and collected them all, but then very soon after returned to my pumpkin farming ways. With the pumpkin farming that I'd done so far, I had enough pumpkins to craft farmer boots, which were needed to craft the rancher boots, but they also slightly boosted my speed. After a decent stint of pumpkin farming, I decided to go to the mushroom cave to try get another bronze medal in a farming contest, but I failed, so I went back to pumpkin farming. Aside from getting rancher's boots, a big goal for me was to level my garden up, and one of the best ways for me to do that would be to complete visitor requests. And right now, a lot of my visitors wanted enchanted hay bales, so I decided to farm some wheat for them. I only farmed enough wheat for one visitor though, as I got bored very quickly, so I went back to farming pumpkins instead. Although that was very short-lived, as I decided to go to the hub and sell my items, making about 110,000 coins. After selling my items though, I returned to the garden and went back to farming pumpkins yet again. But eventually I switched to potatoes for Jacob's farming contest. Well, I did about 20 minutes of farming potatoes and got a silver medal. With my new medal, I had enough to trade all of them in for a gold medal. And then with that gold medal, I bought a pumpkin dicer. With my new pumpkin dicer, I went back to farming even more pumpkins, and the reason I wanted a pumpkin dicer is because it gives you a random chance to get some bonus pumpkins, which helps speed up my pumpkin farming. Well, I decided I wanted to enchant my brand new axe, so I went to the hub and looked in the bazaar and purchased a Sunder 5 book, which I put onto my axe, and then I went back to farming pumpkins yet again. Only for a short while though, as I decided to go take part in another farming contest for potatoes, which I got silver in, but then I went back to farming even more pumpkins. Midway through my pumpkin farming though, an event began to celebrate Hypixel Skyblock's 5th anniversary, where Simon Hypixel was giving out balloon hats, and a pig shop sold items relating to Technoblade, a legendary YouTuber in Skyblock's history who unfortunately passed to sarcoma cancer. Just a quick aside from the video, if you do have some money you're able to donate to charity, I've left a link in the description to Sarcoma UK, which funds research into the type of cancer that Technoblade passed away from. So please, if you do have something to donate, go send the support to that charity. When I first arrived, the pig shop and Simon had been temporarily disabled, but after a few minutes they were properly enabled, and I purchased a shiny orb, alongside speaking to Simon, who gave me a black balloon hat, which is apparently the rarest one in the game. I then went to use the shiny orb on a shiny pig, which sent the pig flying. But I didn't know where the pig went, so I went and bought even more shiny orbs and then sent another pig flying. This time I just beat the pig up for no real reason, but I eventually worked out that I needed to bring the shiny pig back to the shiny orb. Once I did bring it back to the orb, I was given 1,000 farming XP. Well, I continued sending more pigs off, and I got 1,000 enchanting XP, 5,000 coins, 10,000 coins, and another 10,000 coins. With that, I ran out of shiny orbs, but I went back to the pig shop and purchased 25 more. And with those shiny orbs, I got 1,000 combat XP, 3 grand EXP bottles, 10,000 more coins, 1,000 fishing EXP, 32 enchanted potatoes, 7,777 coins, 3,000 coins, 1,000 foraging XP, 1,000 fishing XP, 7,777 coins, another 7,777 coins, 1,000 mining XP, and 8 enchanted pork. With that list of items acquired, I was told that I should buy a god potion to increase my magic find some more, which I've still not been given confirmation as to whether it actually impacted the shiny pigs, but I still went back to my farm to make some money, which I farmed wheat for. With my wheat farming complete, I sold all of the stuff I'd gathered, which gave me 1.3 million coins collectively, and then I went to check the god potion's price, which was 2 million. So I ended up not getting one at that point, and instead I farmed even more shiny pigs. From those shiny pigs, I got 3,000 coins, 1,000 combat XP, 1,000 mining XP, 32 enchanted potatoes, 1,000 foraging XP, 10,000 coins, another 10,000 coins, 3,000 coins, and then another 3,000 coins. Just as a quick thing while I beat this final pig up, I also sold a bunch of items from my ender chest backpacks and chests on my island during this, so that's why you've seen my money magically go up quite a lot. Also, from this final pig, I got 32 enchanted potatoes. With my shiny pig farming finished for now, I decided to go back to my garden and farm some pumpkins, but I eventually went to farm sugarcane as I heard that gives more money than some of the other crops, and I still wanted to buy more shiny orbs alongside my god potion. Once I was done farming sugarcane, I sold all of the crops I had gathered, and then I purchased a god potion. Woo! First up, with my god potion enabled, I farmed some pumpkins at ungodly speeds as the pig shop had been redisabled due to some glitch of some sort. I then went to farm some carrots at ungodly speeds. If it isn't obvious yet, I'm loving being insanely fast, and it only gets more chaotic from here. After that, I did quickly do some more pumpkins, and then some sugarcane, but after that, the pig shop was fixed. So I went and purchased 50 more shiny orbs to farm even more shiny pigs. I do farm a lot of pigs this day, so from now on, instead of telling you every single item I gather from them, I'm just going to talk about the interesting or new ones. But just know I did a plethora of pigs. I do actually want to go see Simon, see what Simon says. Time for celebration. Skyblock's turning 5 today. Time show flies when you're grinding Skyblock. Oh, I get a second hat. That second hat, it turns out, was accidental, but when reported on the forums, I never had it removed, so I'm just going to assume I'm allowed to keep it. The first cool item I got from the shiny pigs was a Farming for Dummies book, and then I got a second one of those books. I was then told there was a small party going on in Hub 1, so I warped there and saw that the Travel to Your Island portal had been removed and replaced with a silly rubber ducky in a pool. I did leave shortly after my arrival, sadly, as I'd had enough of the noise from that lobby. So to finish the day off, I farmed pigs, and I get Harvesting 6, Farming for Dummies, Harvesting 6, and finally a shiny shard. That was all the cool items for day 8, but I wasn't done there. Day 9 began on my island, where I collected my minions' items, and then I need to go get more flight in a minute, but first I'm going to turn off enchanted redstone. Oh shit, can I even upgrade you? Sir, am I going to be dead the second I log in, or is it going to teleport me back to the island? We're gonna find out. I survived! That was purely instinct. Let me be clear. That was not purposeful. That is instinct. With that near death avoided, I went to the hub and purchased 2.5 stacks of shiny orbs, and I continued with my shiny pig farming from the day before. I didn't get anything majorly of note too quickly, but I had this funny moment. Imagine if you could just farm the pig shop itself. They just beat the pig shop up. Okay, I see it's giving me 50,000 coins to stop talking about that idea. Understandable. Absolutely no worries, pig shop. I get the message. Continuing my farming, I got a Farming for Dummies book, a Harvesting 6 book, and then just a clean 1,000,000 coins.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Huh? As you can tell, I was rather happy about the amount of coins I had been given for free. I then got a farming for dummies right after those coins, and then another farming for dummies. With that, I decided to make a knockback 2 sword to hopefully speed up my shiny pig murdering. Using my new sword, I got a farming for dummies book, a potato spreading, another farming for dummies book, another potato spreading, yet another farming for dummies, and then a harvesting 6 book.
Any of you.
With that, I decided to head to the bazaar and sold a bunch of items that I had gathered shiny pig hunting,
13 million.
15 million coins. I got back to farming the pigs yet again, and this time I got a potato spreading, a farming for dummies book, yet another farming for dummies book, a harvesting 6 book, another farming for dummies,
fucking
a potato
Twitch
spreading,
where you
yet another farming for dummies, a harvesting 6 book, and then another farming for dummies.
I got black.
You know, I'm really getting sick of these farming for dummies books. And then I got another farming for dummies, and then finally, after almost 6 hours total of shiny pig farming on Hypixel Skyblock YouTubers, potato talisman! Let's fucking go! Finally! As you heard, I was rather excited about this find. To display it properly, however, I needed social 10 on Skyblock, so if you are watching this while you're playing on the server, do /visit 3zor_, just to get me a little bit more social XP. As a temporary solution, however, I made a long path off of my island, made a small display wall, and then placed my potato talisman into an item frame. Finally, I was done with shiny orbs. Until day 10 began, that was. But only because I had shiny orbs left over from the day before. I promise I'm not addicted to shiny pig farming. Anyways, from my endeavors, I got a hot potato book and some other less cool shiny pig items. I then moved back to pumpkin farming, as I really wanted to get those rancher boots this week, so I could start farming mushrooms on my garden island. After farming pumpkins for about 20 minutes, I went back to shiny pig farming, where I got a potato spreading, a farming for dummies book, a hot potato book, a harvesting 6 book, another farming for dummies, another harvesting 6, yet another harvesting 6, and even more harvesting 6, and then another farming for dummies. With all of my new harvesting 6 books, I went to the anvil in the hub and put harvesting 6 on both my hoe and my fungi cutter. I then went to the garden and farmed some carrots for a farming contest, which I got yet another silver medal in. After that, I went to farm even more pumpkins, and then I did a small amount of wheat for visitors, but very quickly found my way back to pumpkins for another half an hour. I then moved to wheat for a short while, but then moved back to pumpkins right after that. Then I moved back to wheat again, and then back to pumpkins. Then back to wheat, then back to pumpkins, then to some potatoes, but then back to pumpkins yet again, then back to potatoes, back to pumpkins, back to potatoes, and finally back to pumpkin. The reason I say finally is because with this, I had enough pumpkins to craft my rancher boots. And you wanna know what I did with those rancher boots? I farmed more pumpkins. But eventually I moved to try farming mushrooms, and holy was it comforting to know that I hadn't just wasted all of that time farming pumpkins. Well, after that I broke some sugarcane, and then I went back to mushrooms, back to sugarcane, then did a tiny bit of wheat, and after that did a tiny bit of potato, back to wheat, back to potato, and that was my day 10 done. Day 11 began with about 40 minutes of shiny pig farming. Cool items I managed to get were 3 farming for dummies books, 2 harvesting 6 books, 1 hot potato book, and 1 potato spreading. I then got a bee pet from B, and went to the dwarven mines to begin mining mithril for both mining XP and to level my rock up some more. After that I took a minecart to the crystal hollows, but I had a problem. I wanted to get to the mines of Davan. Now, usually you would just use wishing compasses to guide you there. The problem being that I had already gathered the giant crystal on day 7, so I had to do an entire crystal nucleus run just to be able to access the mines of Davan easily again. Crystal nucleus runs are pretty hard this early into the game, but let me try bring you through how I handled it. First up, I went to go meet King Yolkar, who asked for some goblin eggs, which I purchased on the bazaar and gave to him. With that, he smothered me in his stench, which would let me pass the guards that I had previously been stopped by when I tried to visit the Queen. Well, I visited the Queen and stole her crystal, which I then went and placed in the crystal nucleus. And then I made my way to the jungle temple, where a viewer of my stream met me and tried to help me. I was told by the guard to find a jungle key, but instead of going on a wild goose chase to go try and find one, I just purchased it from the bazaar and I opened the door. Now, here's where the tried to help part comes in. The viewer guided me into a cavern and told me to purchase an armadillo pet. And then for about 5 minutes we tried to glitch through the roof to gather the crystal. But it didn't work that well, so we went to go complete the parkour normally. Let me just say, I completely understand why people want to skip the parkour. There are so many easy ways to fail, and it is so annoying when you fail because you get sent right back to the very beginning. But eventually I did complete it. I stole the amethyst crystal, went back to the nucleus, and placed it. I then went to speak to Professor Robot, someone who we had met earlier in my Skyblock playthrough, but we had no reason to actually listen to him. Now, however, I needed to gather him a bunch of robot parts. Now, typically you'd get these robot parts by murdering all the robots in the city, but instead, yet again, I purchased them all from the bazaar and claimed the crystal, which I went and placed in the crystal nucleus. For the final crystal, however, I needed to take part in a boss fight. Luckily for me, there were a lot of highly skilled Hypixel Skyblock players in my lobby who killed it very quickly, and I claimed the crystal while diving headfirst into some lava. With the final crystal, I went back to the crystal nucleus and received a nucleus loot bundle. But I didn't care for any of that because finally I could get back to mining in the mines of Davan. Yeah, I literally just wanted to mine redstone, that's all this stream was supposed to be, but let's be honest, redstone mining gets boring pretty quickly. So I went to my island and purchased all of my minions super compactor 3000s, which instead of turning redstone into redstone blocks, turns it into enchanted redstone. I also replaced my diamond minions for more redstone minions for the time being. With my minions placed, I went back to the campfire cult and set myself alight yet again just to get another badge level. And then I went to the auction house and purchased a tree capitator. And then I used that tree capitator to clean a garden plot. It sped things up a genuinely enormous amount. With that plot cleared, I went and farmed some sugarcane, and then I farmed a rather large amount of wheat. Then I purchased a melon dicer from Anita to go farm melons, which is what I turned the plot that I recently cleaned into. After that I farmed potatoes for a short while, and then I went back to farming my melons alongside a small break to farm pumpkins. After that I farmed some sugarcane, then returned to melons, after returning to pumpkins, and basically for the rest of the day I switched between different crops. Day 12 began with some melon and wheat farming. In fact, actually about half an hour of switching between the two. But then I went to farming only melons for a bit, and then switched to sugarcane for a short while. But then I went to visit the Dark Auction. Now, the Dark Auction is a place where players can spend way too much money on items that are not worth anywhere near that amount of money, which is exactly what happened, so I was unable to purchase any items throughout the entire auction. So with that, I went back to my garden, farmed some sugarcane, and then some melons, and then I did some mushrooms. Then I went back to farming melons for a short while, which allowed me to craft my melon armor at the very least. With that, I went to farm some pumpkins, then some more melons, then a small bit of wheat, and then I finished off the day farming a little bit more pumpkin. Day 13 began on the garden with even more melon farming, but I also switched between both melon and pumpkin farming because I wanted to upgrade both the tools for these jobs to 2.0s, which would give me more melons and pumpkins per crop I break. After about half an hour of melon and pumpkin farming though, I went to the hub to celebrate the final few hours of the Hypixel Skyblock anniversary event by farming even more shiny pigs, which gave me 13 Farming for Dummies books, 4 Harvesting 6 books, 3 Potato Spreadings, 1 Hot Potato book, and that was it. My shiny pig hunting days were over. At least for this year. I did, however, before the end of the event, decide to buy all of the Technoblade related items from the pig shop, just so that I had all of them because they seemed pretty cool. So I went to farm wheat, and then an unbelievably excessive amount of melons, then an excessive amount of pumpkins, but then I farmed some potatoes for a small break, and went back to pumpkins afterwards. With that, I was happy enough finishing farming for the day. So I went to Jerry's workshop, an event for Skyblock's in-game Christmas. First up, I went to Sherry and purchased a winter sack, and then I introduced myself to Enery, who had a shop for North Stars, a currency you get from gifts that are given during the Christmas event. With that information, I went to speak to Saint Jerry, who told me there were 20 white gifts hidden around Jerry's workshop, which I should find and go speak to him. I'd already found a few by this point, and they weren't massively hidden, so I won't show any of their locations specifically. Just know that by the end of the event, I do find all 20. Well, now that I know about the gifts, I decided to explore the glacial caverns, where I met Meese and broke some ice to gather hidden treasure. After that, I spoke to Gulliver, a chicken, who roped me into racing a flying chicken around the island for rewards. First up, Gulliver gave me a red gift, and then a gift compass which helped me find some gifts that I'd missed previously. But then Gulliver gave me a frozen chicken, and finally some jingle bells. With that finished, I went and collected all of the gifts and spoke to Saint Jerry yet again, who gave me a green gift as a reward. I then went back to mining for treasure in the glacial caverns, but then I shared my gifts with a random person who had just entered the game. Although the gifts weren't all that interesting rewards-wise, so I'll skip over them. After that small gifting session, Mount Jerry erupted, sending magma cubes to steal gifts from the innocent villagers. To begin, I fought some of the weird fire-slinging creatures that were attacking me, but then I realized I had to murder magma cubes instead of the smaller little creatures, so I started targeting one of them, and eventually we won the entire magma cube assault. Minus a small amount of gifts getting destroyed in pile A, but it doesn't really matter that much. I then ran around gathering my gifts from all of the gift piles, and then I exchanged gifts with some of the people on the island who were waiting for the next wave. However, for me, it was getting late, so I went to bed. Day 14 began with a viewer gifting me some Redstone 11 minions to replace my current Redstone 8s, just so that it could speed up my Redstone collection process. I placed them all down and gave the minions the compactors that my previous Redstone 8 minions had. After that, I went to my garden and farmed some wheat. Now, I was farming wheat because I wanted to gather croppies and make some croppy armor. A farming-related armor that boosted my farming fortune. Midway through my farming, however, I decided to make a wheat hoe, which gave me bonus farming fortune for wheat specifically. First, I purchased a mathematical hoe blueprint from Anita, which I then purchased a replenish book for, and I added one of the harvesting 6 books I had gathered from my shiny pig hunting. I then farmed more wheat until I had enough to upgrade my hoe to the next level, and then I saw the next recipe.
Are you fucking kidding me? Huh?
I decided at that very moment that my wheat hoe was good enough, and I would just go back to farming for croppies instead of trying to upgrade it anymore. For a little while, I farmed some wheat, but then I switched it up to potatoes, and then back to wheat yet again, and then to carrots for a small moment. After that, I returned to wheat for another half an hour, but then took a small pumpkin farming break just to switch back to wheat yet again. I took a small detour from my farming to manually mine some redstone for my redstone collection, but I very quickly realized it was not worth it, and went back to farming wheat. But then I took a small break for a carrot farming contest which I got silver in. I then farmed potatoes for a small while, and then wheat, but I had to log off for the night to go watch a concert's live stream. The show was very good, by the way. Bring Me the Horizon are fucking phenomenal performers.